Okay, so I didn't even go into this film expecting the best like story I've ever seen in my life because I mean, let's be realistic, the other two Jurassic World films were not. The only thing I was expecting was a fun ride. So a movie that might have taken away from the characters and the story and just created a very fun movie with action-packed sequences and just a good ride that you could just sit through for 2 hours and you wouldn't even feel the time going by. That's it. That is all I expected from this film, and I didn't even get that. At the end of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, after all the dinosaurs escape the Lockwood Mansion, you get this montage. I think Ian Malcom was giving a speech, but you also see a T-Rex at a zoo. You see a Mosasaurus in the ocean about to eat some surfers, and I think you see pterodactyls in Las Vegas. I can't remember the exact city, but the point is, you see dinosaurs interacting with modern day living, like our reality today. So it gives us and leaves us with the question, what would reality be like if life was just co-inhabited by both dinosaurs and humans? Which is exactly what this movie was supposed to be. And I thought based on the trailer and the prologue, that's exactly what I was going to get. You were gonna have dinosaurs running amok, causing chaos, wreaking havoc, and the cast essentially trying to figure out how to establish order again before dinosaurs essentially just destroy everything. At least that's what the trailer led me to believe, which is why I don't really watch trailers that much because it can be very misleading. But what this movie was really about is trying to save the world from locust, because apparently it isn't enough that, you know, I mean, someone might have a velociraptor in their backyard, or you might have a giant sea creature, the mosasaurus, eating fishermen that are just doing their job, or having a triceratops in the middle of traffic. Apparently that's not enough of an issue in this film and in this franchise. Now we need to add locusts to the mix. And in a Jurassic World film, part of the Jurassic Park franchise, that's what this film was about. It wasn't about dinosaurs, or at least it didn't feel that way to me. At times it kind of felt like a James Bond movie or a Jason Bourne, maybe an Indiana Jones movie at times, and like dinosaurs kind of thrown into the mix here and there. That's what it felt like. But instead, the film was about locusts, like genetically like modified locusts with like prehistoric DNA and stuff. It was about them and the problems they presented to our society and our food supply, which is stupid because you only see that problem at the beginning of the film and that problem essentially being absolved at the end of the film. But throughout the entire movie, you don't hear anything about locusts just destroying crops and leaving like people without food and people being like hungry and starving. You don't hear any of that throughout the entire film. The problem is presented and then the cast just essentially sets out to fix it, but you don't hear about it throughout the entire film at all. You just see the locusts in the lab that are specifically there, I mean, because they were created in a lab, but also so the cast can find a way to essentially solve that problem. A problem you don't hear about throughout the entire film. The film also brings back a generic formula of just having a laboratory that has dinosaur experiments and whatnot, and an ecosystem that consists of dinosaurs, except now it isn't on an island, it's in like Italy in the mountains somewhere. Now this whole outfit, this whole corporation is ran by Dr. Lewis Dodgson. You remember Dodgson from the first Jurassic Park film. And still, nobody cares because he was every bit as underwhelming as the rest of the movie. I mean, his only role, aside from being like a part of the original Jurassic Park film, is he was the head of this corporation and then he dies as a result of his work. I mean, where have we not seen that before? But anyway, that's the big baddie of the film, and the cast has to go there in order to fix the problem. But here's the thing. The plot is essentially the kind of like split in two between the original cast and like the Jurassic World cast. And like before the film came out, I was kind of wondering how they were gonna meet, like how this like meeting and union between the two was gonna be set up. And the way it played out was kind of stupid. There was no chemistry. Like the whole thing kind of felt forced. There was no development and building up towards that moment. On the one hand, you have the Jurassic World characters that are led by Owen and Claire, who are still kind of sort of in a romantic relationship that seems very insignificant, unimportant, unnecessary, and not impactful in the previous films, and it's brought back to this film. And they're essentially looking for Maisie Lockwood, who was the genetic clone from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and she's been kidnapped, so they have to go find her. And not just her, but also Blue's daughter, because Blue doesn't require a mate in order to reproduce. because apparently she has like some lizard DNA that enables her to reproduce asexually, and her offspring is essentially like a copy of herself, kind of like Godzilla in like the 1999 or 2000 movie Godzilla. She reproduces asexually, and Maisie Lockwood isn't a clone at all. She's actually the daughter of Charlotte Lockwood, who they talked about in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Maisie Lockwood is actually her daughter, and she reproduced the same way Blue did. But I mean, is that because of the lizard DNA, or is that her DNA? Like, I was completely confused by that. Maybe, like, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. But to me, it seemed as if she spliced lizard DNA into herself in order to reproduce, like have Maisie Lockwood. Like, I didn't get that whole situation. But anyway, that's what Owen and Claire were setting out to do, to find both Blue's daughter and Maisie Lockwood, who were taken by a bunch of poachers and sold to Bison, who was led by Lewis Dodgson. And then you have the characters from the original Jurassic Park film. I mean, aside from Dodgson, you have Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcom, and their role is essentially, like in the plot, trying to deal with the whole locust like situation. But again, you don't really hear about the locust throughout the entire film, except for the beginning and the end, and the only ones you really see and focus on are the ones that are still in a lab that have not been released yet, so that Ellie and Alan can get a sample from them and solve like this whole like locust pandemic, if you want to call it that. But other than that, I feel like they were just brought in for nostalgic value, and this seems to be like something that movies keep doing nowadays, where they just keep bringing back old faces in order to get more money. But they didn't really have much of a purpose in this film, because once the original Jurassic Park cast comes together and then they meet up with the Jurassic World cast, that whole moment felt forced. Like they were just on completely separate missions. They meet up towards the end and, hey, I know you, you're Dr. Alan Grant. Oh my gosh, aren't you the guy that worked with raptors? Oh shit, we gotta run from dinosaurs now. And that's basically what happens. Like it didn't really feel significant to me at all. So the whole film didn't really feel like it was building up towards anything. It didn't really have direction. The plot was just insufferable. The writing was so bad. The character development was non-existent. The chemistry between them was non-existent. And the ending felt very inconclusive, because even though they solved the whole locust issue, which was stupid, you still have dinosaurs everywhere. I mean, if you go into the ocean, you can still be eaten by a mosasaurus. Nothing has changed. The runtime was way too long, and it just didn't feel like a Jurassic Park movie, a Jurassic World movie. And they also introduced a new dinosaur known as the Giganotosaurus, which is bigger than a T-Rex. I mean, we haven't seen that before, right? I mean, the Spinosaurus was bigger than a T-Rex. The Indominus Rex was bigger than a T-Rex. So, I mean, that wasn't really necessary, and it didn't really serve much of a purpose throughout the entire film, because they didn't drop into this whole biome at Bison until late in the film, and you only see the Giganotosaurus, I think, twice in the entire film. So in total, it's there for maybe like 5 minutes, and that's about it. It didn't really need to be in the film at all. But they needed to sell tickets, right? So they brought in a new dinosaur with a name that's kind of hard to pronounce, and it's completely immemorable, that's bigger than a T-Rex, and they brought in the original cast for a nostalgic value, and they gave us a misleading trailer that led us to believe that we were going to get what we were craving since the original Jurassic Park trilogy, and was teased in the Lost World Jurassic Park, I think, when they took the T-Rex to San Diego, and we were going to get dinosaurs in the real world, and we didn't even get that. I think something that would have made this film a lot better for me, aside from like the obvious writing and the runtime being reduced, would have been if people actually died, because the only people that ever die in these films are people that are insignificant and don't really matter to the story. So none of the main characters ever die. So it doesn't make the story, like the gravity of the situation, as dire. You know everybody's gonna survive, so what does it really matter? You don't really feel like anybody's ever in danger. A great many things could have been done to make this film better, but I'm gonna stop it right here. I had like a list of things that I wanted to address from the film, but if I do that, I'm gonna be here for a very long time, so I'm gonna stop it right here. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoy this film, I don't really know anybody who did. Everyone I've seen that watched the film did not like it, but let me know if you enjoyed it. If you disagree with me, please hit that like button. It does help me a lot. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch you in the next video next Friday. See you then. Bye bye.